welcome back to another episode of the Brewcast. We're on episode number 38. We are changing it up now in 2022, and we're going to be very, very sports-based for the next few weeks. So what we're doing is, I saw it on another podcast, and I am just 100% just robbing their idea. So what we're doing is we're doing a top 10 Premier League strikers list. I think there's been 14 people who've sent me in their list. We have, amalgamated all of them, giving the person in first place 10 points, the second person in second 9 points, all the way down to 1 point in 10th. And we've added up all of the scores, and we've now come up with our top 10 Premier League strikers list. So we're joined by three lads. We're joined by Barry Hernady in Dublin, Donica in Dublin, and Sean from Dublin, but in Toronto. Jesus, lads, that's too many dubs there now.
And Dublin real in Cork, huh? Won't be ending anytime soon.
You're badly outgunned here, bro.
I know.
Although so am I, as the only Liverpool fan.
I was gonna say I have kind of lumped it's three, Man U fans and one Liverpool, just because I couldn't have Donny having his way, So, but look, I think what we did basically was, as I said, we had 14 people send in their top 10 lists. I did ask people to kind of send them in privately, just so it wouldn't influence of other people's lists. So
that didn't go so well.
It didn't go that well, no.
Yeah, it's very public.
So basically what I did was I made a kind of I did my full kind of data analyst hat on here. And I put all of the lists up the top with all of the points. I did VLOOKUPs basically for all of the players, got all their points, amalgamated them down. Yeah, and then put them all down in the list in here. So we'll start at the bottom. So
first of all, the podcast listeners have been spared an absolute eyesore here.
Excuse me. This is
beautiful. Look at
perfection.
This is definitely function over form anyway.
I'm not a spreadsheet man. I tell you.
Man, it wouldn't even color in a few columns, like Jesus.
No.
Anyone looking at the video version of this will be appreciated of this.
This is very raw data.
Brew, I also think you're underselling the complexity of this data collection. Like we did use some very high powered algorithms that half the servers in Galway actually went towards. There was more computing power in this than mining Bitcoin. So we gotta call it out. It's very sophisticated shit here.
Very.
It was out of electricity for a day because of it, wasn't it?
Yeah, my fucking hydro bill is gonna be outrageous at the end of the month.
Bruce's carbon footprint is the size of Lewis Hamilton. So try and develop this fucking list.
So basically, as well, just for the listeners, what we're gonna do is this week we're doing strikers. Next week we're gonna do wingers. The week after we're gonna do midfielders, and then the week after that we're gonna do defenders / goalkeepers.
You gotta split defenders and goalkeepers.
Yeah, I just didn't know if we had
I don't know. I split defenders and goalkeepers.
I just didn't know if we had a full.
How can you go? I know. Vincent Kompany was better than fucking Shay Given. That's like inflating an apple with a fucking violin. That makes no sense.
Yeah, I agree.
It's separate lists. I was just gonna have them on the same pot. Same, like separate lists.
Tell you what, just as well, that could clarify. There was going to be
right. Give me the gun stat for that one.
Yeah,
I jumped in 2-footed on that one. That makes a lot more sense.
That's fine. Right. So I'll stop sharing my screen so it's more of a surprise for you, right? So we have 20 people basically nominated. So I will start with someone who was nominated once, who got 1 point. Now, I already know Donica's reaction to this is going to be pretty funny. So at number 20, we have Matt Letizia.
Not a striker.
Not a striker. I agree with that. So
who put that in?
It was actually Jordan Cadman Rivers who put it in, who is shocking.
Controversial choice.
So Matt Letizia, and I actually had to double check this. Because I then started doubting myself. But Matt Letizia was an attacking midfielder.
He was 10. He was definitely a 10.
Yeah, and he was a great penalty taker, but he was most
never scored. Never missed a penalty. Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah. So okay. Jesus Christ. So we also have 3 other players with 1 point, and one of them in particular I think is appalling. but we will go through them. So we have Defoe, we have Dwight Yorke, and we have Zola.
Wow, Zola's discriminated against. What the hell?
Very harsh on Zola.
That's very harsh on
Is
John
Zola
Frank.
not a bit of a number 10 as well, though?
Yeah, I was gonna say for me Zola's more of a 10/false 9, so he kind of gets away with it more than Letizia, definitely. But I think Dwight Yorke to only get 1 vote, lads, is appalling.
A quick anecdote: we met Dwight Yorke, myself and Steve from the Fairway Finders. We met Dwight Yorke in Dubai in November. Had a beer with him. He is absolutely shredded.
Yeah, tank.
He is massive,
Yeah.
and I'd say the guy has 1% body fat, and he had about 6 women knocking around with him. Although, listen, they could have been his daughters or something. I don't know. So. But yeah, he's an absolute tank still.
I mean, he's a tank. He's also a very good goal scorer. Like, do you know what I mean? So
I was gonna say this isn't the Premier League's most shredded striker. It's the best striker.
You have to have Torres in that conversation now. I've seen Torres. Torres is
he's
active these days as well. Yeah, he seems to have lost his neck. Maybe fucking Ryanair lost it on a flight or something, but it's gone.
Yeah, he definitely went up to heavyweight.
I mean, I think at the end of the day, like Dwight Yorke has 375 appearances, 123 goals, and 50 assists. He won the Golden Boot in 98-99. He won Player of the Season the same season. He's won the Premier League 3 times. He's won the Player of the Month 8 times. I think that's a bit harsh for him, only to have 1 point, personally.
Yeah, that's probably... Yeah, that's kind of impressive. Because I don't want this conversation to steer into, like fantasy football FC, whereby we just go. So, for example, Dennis Burkham's in my top 10. If you look at his statistics, you're probably like, oh, really? But
that's FC. I know.
It doesn't tell the story of Dennis Burkham at all.
Yeah, I think one of the things where I think Yorke falls a bit short is that people always pair him with Cole, and Cole will be seen as the more successful striker. You don't have Cole without Yorke, or you don't have Yorke without Cole, but you kind of could have Cole without Yorke. Do you know what I mean? Based on his Newcastle days, Yorke was like a decent striker at Villa, but Cole was like unbelievable. So it's like I can see why Cole would get more love than Yorke, and it's a top 10 of all time in the Premier League. Like its spaces are very limited.
Yeah. Who else was with the other two? Sorry, Barry.
I was saying Yorke ended up like a number 10 as well, didn't he? He played behind Cole. Kind of similar to like the other ones, you got 1 vote. I put fucking Zola down. And he is the 10. It's a problem. But his stats wouldn't be good anything, but I just used to love the lad. He was one of the first little like players in the Premier League and like to actually do that. He was just fun to watch.
He was.
I always remember his backheel goal, the backheel volley goal from a corner.
Yeah, that was against Norwich.
Yeah,
it was against Norwich. He ran front post and flicked it up into the top corner. It was outrageous.
Oh my God, that was a piece of magic. Yeah, Zola was magic. Unbelievable.
He's kind of one of those ones. He was like my number 10 just because I like him. You know the way?
Yeah.
It's nothing besides just you like someone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
I'm not having Jermaine Defoe. Like I'm saying, if we had top 30, you're putting Jermaine Defoe and you're probably putting Robbie Keane in the top 30. But I'd have them both near the very start of that, near the bottom. Like I think whoever put Defoe in top 10, I think maybe. Like,
I'll tell you exactly.
I think it was Tiz, was it?
I'll tell you who wrote it.
It was our fellow co-host in the Fairway Finders, Mr. Steve Kennedy, put him in as 10th.
Steve, what are you talking about, mate? He's a closet.
And that's why he wouldn't come on. He wouldn't come on the pod because he knew he'd be fucking shafted.
Bullshit.
Knew it.
So did Robbie Keane get a vote?
And he ran off with a young one.
Did you hear the end of that story? Barry Coleman was telling me this. The one who ran off with a young one ended up marrying the young one and is still with her to this day.
That's right. I'll tell you his name. I know his name. Rod Little.
Rod Little married the young one, did he?
Yeah.
Married the young one.
Wow, what a sequel.
Eamon, you can't say that. You can't do that.
Oh, lad, that has to be one of the best moments in TV. Has to be
100% my favorite soundbite in the history of Irish television.
I'll tell you, Rob Little.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Right, so
This is a family man who has 5 children. He's a credit to his
Oh.
community. Like we were down there. Quick segue, when we were down doing the Fairway Finders Invitational in Kerry, we for about 20 minutes we were singing, you know, Big Dirty Fries version of that.
Oh yeah,
It's the clip, but it's if written by an indie band. Rod Little is the kind of guy who left his wife for a young one. So we were singing this in a boozer in Killarney for about 20 minutes, and I took a video of it and actually sent it to Big Dirty Fry, and he retweeted it and got a whole big bunch of fucking likes and retweets and all sorts.
Hilarious.
It's a goddamn work of art, that is.
Yeah. So as you said, so we have Matt Letizia, Defoe, Dwight Yorke, Zola, all with 1 vote each, right? We then have a person in 16th, which I personally, as a United fan, it's hard to say, but I think is criminally low in this list, and that is Michael Owen. What? Michael Owen, man, Michael Owen was. Look, I think what happened with Michael Owen was that
Ballon d'Or
he
winner,
hit
I
his
suppose.
peak. He hit his peak when he was like 18, 19. That was his problem. He was ridiculous. The first 3-4 seasons with Liverpool, he was nearly unplayable. He was outrageous. Granted, he didn't have that longevity, but I mean,
Michael Owen, the whole Michael Owen saga and situation makes me sad for lots of reasons, because he won the Ballon d'Or. He was sensational. The first goal I ever saw scored at Anfield was Michael Owen against Barcelona in the Champions League. Chipped the keeper. Just an unbelievable finish. That was the year he won the Ballon d'Or. And he wanted to, Madrid came calling and he wanted to explore something new. And he didn't feel like he was given the adulation he deserved in that Liverpool side from the crowd. And that was because Stevie was a Scouser, Carragher was a Scouser, and Michael Owen wasn't. And the fact that he wasn't, he didn't get the love that he thought he deserved. He tried so hard to come back as well. He was ringing Rafa Benitez every second day, pleading with him. And then Newcastle just offered silly money at the time for a crock. Like, if you take Michael Owen, if you take the fullness of his Premier League career, yeah, he's definitely in the top 20. Yeah. I don't know if he's much higher than 16th, because in the time where he was at his peak, like, he didn't win Liverpool. He didn't win Liverpool league title. Now, he won them an FA Cup by himself. I think 16 is about fair.
Yeah, that's the only thing I think of. Michael Owen, he won a Ballon d'Or, and he was pretty devastating. But did he have a Premier League impact for Liverpool? I would put other Liverpool strikers ahead of Owen in terms of Premier League impact.
Yeah, and I don't want to just reduce it down to did he win it or did he not win it. And we all know what happened when he ended up getting his Premier League medal. Don't talk about it. No talking about it.
To be fair, that goal against City, though.
Yeah, great goal.
Immortalized. United fans loved him from that goal alone more than Liverpool fans ever did.
Michael Owen was as shocked as anyone. Do you remember his celebration?
Yeah, he was like,
I scored a goal.
Do you know what it was like? It was like when John O'Shea chipped, he was playing Arsenal and he chipped the keeper and he kind of turned around like, did I do that? Kind of like that was his kind of reaction. Like, it was brilliant. Okay, so
I think 16 is about fair.
That's absolutely fair. So we have a tie, I guess, for the next two. We have Fernando Torres and we have Robbie Keane. Both getting 5 votes.
Nando's way ahead of Kane. Sorry, he just is. Fernando Torres at Liverpool is a class apart from anything Robbie Keane ever did. Yeah. What Robbie Keane has in his favor is longevity.
Yeah,
fair enough.
Consistency.
Torres consistent.
Was here, then there.
How many years did Torres do it for?
4.
4. That's good, like.
4 glorious years. Did he win a Golden Boot? Surely he did.
I would argue that his last year Liverpool was not glorious, Donegal. Rose tinted.
It wasn't. Well, no, because
we're happy to sell him to Chelsea for 50
Well, it was only half a season. And it was only half a season.
Even before that, he was dodgy before the World Cup.
Torres, 212 appearances, 85 goals, 30 assists.
Chelsea stats just have diluted that down.
I was going to say,
Liverpool record's about his Liverpool record's about 140 and 80.
His first 2 and a bit seasons, he was absolutely devastating. Like devastating. He was the scourge of Nemanja Vidic.
He was the best finisher in the world for a while.
Yeah,
and I know we're going to get to a guy who's going to be higher ranked who essentially came in and replaced him at Liverpool. But the thing about Torres was he was pure lethal. He was a classic number 9. Give me the ball and I'll score. Don't ask me to press. Don't ask me to be a playmaker. Don't put me on a fucking wing. Just give me the ball and I'll put it in the net. And he was one of the best to do it during his Liverpool days. Yep. Obviously, it all went south.
So it's go on, Sean.
Everyone talks about that season. You know, Gerrard was number 10, and he just moved before Gerrard hit it, and it was just unreal.
Telepathic stuff, yeah, it really was. It was amazing. That was such a great Liverpool team, actually.
It was so good. I can't believe it didn't win anything or nothing to note, really.
Well, because they got beat out by a better United.
True. So
true.
If you look at Torres' record, as I said, 212 appearances, 85 goals, 29 assists. As Donica said, the Chelsea appearances are completely skewing that. He had 2 Player of the Months. That's it. That's it. Yeah. So then we have Robbie Keane with 349 appearances, 126 goals, 40 assists, and 3 Player of the Months.
I mean, Keane was very good.
I think, as you said, the longevity there helped.
Well, surely we're all agreed that, listen, if they've got the same amount of votes, thanks to our extremely high-powered and complicated algorithm, then
thanks to Steve Kennedy. It's literally thanks to Steve Kennedy.
Yeah. Torres has to go ahead of Keane, surely. So this is 4 fucking Irish lads on a podcast. And we can, even with that inherent bias, we can all agree that Torres was a better player than Keane, or a bigger Premier League legacy.
Yeah, I mean,
Keane just a better version of Jermaine Defoe, but Irish.
Yeah, no, Keane was better. Keane was definitely better.
Keane was definitely better.
I think I'd rather prime Robbie Keane than prime Jermaine Defoe.
I think so too.
Oh, by far.
Because I think Robbie Keane was capable of scoring.
I think even we're forgetting how good Keane was.
Oh yeah, this isn't. I'm not shitting on Robbie Keane. Just next to Torres.
I put Torres ahead of Keane. I definitely
put it this way. Would at any stage was Robbie Keane? At any point during his Premier League career, if a team had to come in from, would have you been talking of 50 million quid? And this is 2011 50 million. This isn't now 50 million. We're 50 million.
You tell us, Tony. You bought him for 30 2 years before.
Who? Oh, Kane. Oh no, yeah, for fucking 6 months. It was actually 25. But what? Yeah, I've been done in there.
Absolutely ruined. Yeah. Well, to be fair, right, just to bring it back, so we had Robbie Keane got all 5 points from Steve Kennedy. No one else voted for him, whereas Torres got 3 1s and 1 2-pointer. So
I swear to fuck, if Kevin Doyle ends up in this list, I'm ringing Kennedy. I'm shouting down the phone.
If Steve fucking Kennedy put in Kevin Doyle, I would have just vetoed his entire vote.
Steve Kennedy's number 1 is absolutely Clinton Morrison, and there's no 2 ways about it.
Clinton Morrison, yeah. No, it's fucking Shane Long, lad. Come on. But yeah, okay. So moving on, then I guess we have. Now, I have to say, in my opinion, I think he's too low. I think 14 for this player, and I get that it's very United bias, but coming in at number 14, we have Eric Canton. I think he should be top 10, in my opinion. I think he should be 10 for me. I think he was number 10 or number 9 for me, but
I I never saw Canton as a striker. Again, that's that debate. Is Canton seen as a striker? I thought he was a number 10. I thought he was an incredibly
He
high
wore
scoring
number
number
10. I think he played striker. Like he played right in, like up front, like in the middle, like pretty much. Like
I would have put Cantona in if I didn't really consider him a striker.
Fair.
You know what I mean?
Again,
I
it's
like
era when it was
he transformed United and helped build the United what it is today.
Yeah.
Like his like forget fucking Bruno Fernandes or anyone transforming a club, whatever. Cantona changed that team
100%.
and turned us into a title-winning machine.
Yeah.
Huge
Donny?
contribution.
I offer nothing.
Is he an out-and-out striker?
I offer no opinion based on the fact that I don't even know, because I cannot even recall watching him. The only Cantona reference that I have, apart from the obvious, is the goal that he scored to win the FA Cup final to beat us in 90.
What a goal!
I'm going to say 95, where it kind of went through about 84 players. So I've no opinion of him because I just didn't really see him play. He has one of, if not the greatest, Premier League celebration there's ever been, when he chips the keeper and just
stands there.
That was some Roman Emperor shit. I love that now. Even as a Liverpool fan, I can appreciate that. But
it's name drop. It's actually name drop.
He was a serious character, yeah.
Yeah.
He's still. Do you remember that speech he gave at like the Ballon d'Or where he was on about like birds picking up rubbish and stuff, and it was just
that was when he was explaining why
the seagulls follows the troll-air.
It is because they expect him to get sardines. Thank you.
But he did have some. He did have some monologue at that award ceremony recently where he was like, "We will soon be overrun by AI." He kind of was foretelling Terminator 2 at the fucking football awards.
He came out recently again, and he was just like, "Oh, the World Cup's a waste of time in Qatar." He's like, "Forget about it."
Oh, I'm all aboard that take. I like that.
Yeah. I mean, look, like for me, look, it's fair enough, I guess. I mean, he's technically down as a forward on the Premier League site. I mean, he entered the Premier League in 92 and he left in 97 and he won the Premier League 4 times.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fairly elite, to be fair. 150 games, 70 goals, 60 assists. Holy,
that's impressive.
Is it just probably we're all a bit young for him?
Like, I think so. Yeah, I really do. I mean, look, it's fair, but
I'm sure it's going to go up later, obviously. But even Shearer, who I put in, I don't really remember.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I don't really remember him either.
I remember Shearer really well, actually.
No, I remember a bit of Shearer.
I remember a good bit of Shearer. I remember the majority of Shearer.
To be fair, I think I do remember him. I just don't think I could be arsed when I was like 10 to watch Newcastle play. Honestly, I think that was more it than.
I always just watched the Premiership match today. He looked like a fucker to play against. Just powerful, strong, fucking always knew where the net was, could hit it from anywhere.
Yeah. Okay, so the next two we have, so in the 12th and 13th position, we also have another tie. So, I mean, one of them is definitely outrageous in considering who we just named below these two. That's all I'll say. But we have Robbie Fowler and Jamie Vardy coming in with 7 points.
This is really hard now.
It's getting getting there now. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, do I think honestly, do I think Robbie Fowler is a better player than Eric Cantona? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I don't think he's even close.
Ahead of those. I put Canton ahead of those two.
But I'd put him ahead of both of them easily, personally. Yeah.
I put them ahead of Vardy as well. Like Vardy's very, very, very good, but he's not top 10 Premier League of all time.
Yeah, but I think you've got to take the context into account that Vardy has played in an inferior team in the context of best team in the league, in an inferior team for the most part. Didn't score his first Premier League goal till he was like 28 or something. There's 100 goals after 30. And he ties that record of consecutive goals. He deserves to be in the conversation. I think 12-13 is about right for Vardy. And as well, like, we could disqualify Canton based on the fact he wasn't a true striker. We could disqualify, well, obviously we're disqualifying Matt Letizia because of that. But then there's arguably, you could arguably disqualify Burkham because he was more of a playmaker too. So if you were to disqualify those, I actually would have Vardy in my top 10. I wouldn't have him ahead of Fowler.
You wouldn't have him, yeah, fair.
No,
okay.
No, I'd have Vardy, Fowler in that order, ascending.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. I mean, I all I'll say is I think the reason why Fowler is high enough up there is because the majority of the people I asked for lists are Liverpool fans, I think, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm surprised fucking Ian Rush hasn't been mentioned yet.
How dare you? How dare you call bias on God?
But yeah, look.
I'll pull up his stats.
Pull up.
I'll pull up his all-time stats because I know he played for like Leeds and City as well.
So right,
379, 379 appearances and 136 goals. Sorry, that's not right. 163 goals.
I think it's mad bias on either end because Fowler played for the three clubs that United fans hate the most.
Fair, actually, that's fair.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. Never thought.
I mean, no, look, I am not trying to say Robbie Fowler isn't good. I would definitely put him in my top 20, I would say. Do I think Robbie Fowler is above Eric Cantona, though? Absolutely not. Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
I'd make a similar argument for Robbie Fowler I did for Michael Owen, like Premier League contributions, like how much of an impact did he have on the Premier League? Like, yeah, he was very good. He was always up there, like scoring a lot of goals, but he didn't win Liverpool the league. He didn't win a bunch of golden boots. Like, he was in around the time where like more successful strikers were around. I wouldn't put him as high as
potentially you put Vardy ahead because of the miracle.
Because of that, yeah. I mean, yeah, maybe. And he won what he scored, wasn't it? 10 games in a row or 11 games in a row.
Yeah. And the 11th was against United too.
Yeah.
I was nearly rooting for him to do that.
Oh, you have to.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, so we are now at the number 11 spot. So striker that just missed out on the top 10. Do we have any guesses?
Harry Kane.
Very close.
Didier Drogba.
No, Drogba was well up there.
Good.
Burkham then.
No. More modern era than Burkham. Similar team, same team.
Van Persie.
Robin Van Persie.
Well, I have Van Persie fifth.
Sorry, so Robin Van Persie got 15 points at the 11th spot. And the person who got the 10th spot got 19 points. So he missed out on 4 points missing off the top 10.
I did my best for him.
Top 10.
RVP was my number 6. I loved him. I loved him as a footballer, 2-footed. Scored some the other thing that's important. The other thing that's important in terms of greatness is not just volume and stats, but also some of the goals he scored. The volley against Everton. He scored a volley early in his career against Charlton at the Valley. That is one of the best Premier League goals ever because the ball was above his hip and he still got over the ball and cracked it in off the underside.
It came from nowhere as well. Just appeared out of nowhere.
He took it off a defender's toe, basically. It was fucking unbelievable. One of the top 10 greatest Premier League goals
that season. So he had that season where he won the league with United and he won them the league with United.
He did win it. Yeah, he did win us the league. Yeah,
but he joined United because the season before at Arsenal where he was absolutely untouchable, and I think he won Player of the Year that year as well. Like, he was frightening.
He was brilliant. He was brilliant.
He was insane. So he just missed out on our top 10, and coming in at number 10 with 19 points is Mr. Harry Kane.
Yeah, so I have Van Persie ahead of Kane.
Yeah, I have Van Persie ahead of Kane as well. Kane's been like brilliant, one of the best strikers in the Premier League at the moment, and he's won several golden boots, but like he hasn't won anything yet. So that's where he falls short. He hasn't
won anything. He hasn't even won a fucking pre-season tournament. Maybe he has.
Yeah, I mean, I think Harry Kane is definitely elite.
He's probably Harry Kane stats. X appearance, X goals, 3 player of the months, 18 employee of the months.
Yeah.
2 golden boots is no joke.
You want to see the amount of participation awards he has. Oh my god.
Voted the maker of the best lasagna in the first team squad.
But yeah, look, I mean, I think at the end of the day, I think I would have Robin van Persie over.
What's
Harry
his
Kane.
record? What's his record?
How many golden boots does he have?
I'll just go look it up there now.
I think he has 2, isn't he?
He definitely has at
like,
least
wow.
2 anyway. He at least has.
Wow.
What?
Statistically, his statistics are pretty good, like phenomenal. 263 appearances, 170 goals. That puts Fowler in the shade. That puts everyone we've spoken about so far in the shade, actually. That's the best clip. It's the best goals per game ratio that we've seen so far. So, for that
3
reason,
golden boots.
yeah. And I put him 10th in my list. So that's spot on as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's any arguments. I mean, look, like I get it. I would still have Van Persie over Kane, but I mean, just because I don't think Kane's won anything, and not that that's a big deal. Because I mean, if I'm talking best midfielders, top 10, Jared's in my top 10. You know what I mean? Like he didn't win the Prem. It doesn't matter. Like it's what level he was at. So, yeah, look, I think it's very close between 2 of them. If you want to go down the stats route, and look, let's not forget, like Harry Kane's having a bit of an off season this year, and he had a bit of a season last year that he was more of a creator than a goal scorer. But the previous 2 or 3 years before that, lads, he was number 1 or number 2 top goal scorer. Like the last 5 years,
he was the best striker in the world for a time. He was, and recently he was he was like before Erling Haaland came along, and let's maybe disqualify Kylian Mbappe because he plays wide most of the time. But before Haaland came along, sure, Barcelona and Real Madrid, when they had money, which was fake money because they didn't really have money, who would they get? Who could they get? Well, Harry Kane. And Real Madrid were linked with him a heap, and you need to be the dog's bollocks. Even now, you need to be the dog's bollocks to get linked with Harry Kane. With Harry Kane.
Rarely does the Premier League have like the top striker or the top they're always at Bayern or Barca or Real or like even with all the people we're listing, like none of them were ever like top like in the world.
Until we get to like Michael Owen, until we get to near the top of the list, I would agree with you there. Yeah. So okay, so moving on to number 9.
I think general consensus, Kane as top 10 is not an abomination. That's probably fair.
No, it's palatable.
The last point that I'd make is if he got his move to City in the fullest of time, you're probably looking at Kane being 5 or 6.
Yeah, I agree. Right. So at number 9 with 27 points. So Kane had 19. The next one now, 27 points. Andy Cole.
Okay.
One Andy.
I think that's more than
I wouldn't
fair,
argue. I put him
personally.
Yeah, he's ahead of Yorke, certainly. I didn't have him in my top 10, but that's because he's a mank, so fuck him.
I had Liverpool players in my top 10, D. You got to put your personal feelings aside.
I've got 1, 2, 3 United players in my top 10. All right, so shut your mouth.
Michael Owen doesn't count.
I wish he didn't count. Jesus Christ, I was livid when that happened. Fucking livid with him. Silly prick. Just go to Hull, and fuck off.
When Andy Cole moved to United, though, didn't he score like 35 goals or something for Newcastle or something crazy like?
Yeah, he was absolutely frightening.
He was like a monster.
Him and like Les Ferdinand, Aspria, like him and Keegan's team, like they were absolutely devastating. Like remember they absolutely ran through United like 5-0 or something like that at St. James's Park.
Yeah.
Like they humiliated United.
Yeah, I mean, like he played in Newcastle in his first year in the Prem was 93-94. He played in
40.
He played 40 games, scored 34 goals.
That's back when they had 22 teams in the league. What a clip that is. That's the mark, isn't it? Doesn't Salah hold the record? And he's not even in the list because he's not a striker. Oh my God, Mohamed Salah.
We'll do forwards. We'll do forwards next week. And then we can discuss Salah. But Look, I mean, I think 414 appearances, 187 goals, 73 assists, 1 golden boot, 5 Premier Leagues. I think I've no issues with him being top 10.
Well, yeah, no, listen, fair enough. But if you look per season, so that 34 goals, that's just bananas. And then 97 through to 2000, 15 goals, 17 goals, 19 goals. Now, 1990,000, he scored 19 and 28 appearances. That's a great clip. So, yeah.
And so you always have to realize, like, look, I know it's an easy thing to say because we said it with Vardy, but Cole didn't need to score 40 goals because that United team was elite. You had so many goals coming from so many different players. He didn't need to score the 30, 40 goals a season. Like, he just didn't. So
here's a question for you.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it finished in 2008. Bonus points if you can tell me the team that he played for. He made 7 appearances in the Premier League, 4 off the bench. He didn't score diddly fuck, and then off he pissed into retirement.
I don't know. I was going to say Blackburn. It wasn't.
Birmingham.
The last 2 clubs that he played for, although this would be a clue for them as well. The last 2 clubs he played for have since gone into obscurity and are languishing. They haven't even been in the championship for years.
Oh, Portsmouth, I'd say, was it?
Was second last.
Oh, fuck.
Bolton.
No. That's another one, though. Fair point.
Teams after fucking Sunderland, is it?
Bingo.
Oh, yeah. Sure, they've absolutely, yeah, fair enough.
2007, 2008.
Oh, he played under Roy Keane then. Keane was in charge for that season when they went up.
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah.
So, at that stage of his career, he wasn't willing to put up with Roy Keane's bullshit. He's like, yeah.
No, he was playing second fiddle to Michael Chopra.
So right, so we have for number 8 and number 7, we're 3 points ahead of Andy Cole. So we have a tie for basically 7th with Ruud van Nistelrooy and Dennis Bergkamp.
Right, well, straight off the bat, if this is a top 10 Premier League strikers of all time, Ruud van Nistelrooy is ahead of Dennis Bergkamp because they're entirely different footballers.
Yeah. That's tough. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if we are technically doing strikers, Ruud is definitely ahead. But if we're doing forwards, then it's a whole different kettle.
Yeah. It's not a shame from a Liverpool perspective, but for United, like the fact that Van Nistelrooy only hung around for 150 games, 95 goals in 150 games. Yeah, he was lethal. He was annoyingly good at scoring goals, but he was the polar opposite to Dennis Bergkamp because Dennis Bergkamp was an artist and Ruud van Nistelrooy had just like hacked the cheat code in football as to how do I run 4 kilometers a game and score a brace. That was Ruud van Nistelrooy's buzz. Whereas Dennis Bergkamp would be all over the pitch. We'll be doing pirouettes. We'll be doing fucking Rabonas. Obviously scored one of the most beautiful Premier League goals of all time. Can anyone tell me who the defender was?
I was like Dabby Zaz or something like that, was it?
Against Newcastle when he flicked it one way and went the other way.
Was your man? Was it Titus Bramble?
No, I'll give you a massive clue. He's Irish.
Andy O'Brien or something, is it?
Bingo. Yeah.
Nice.
Andy O'Brien.
Andy O'Brien.
With do you remember Burkham? He couldn't play the Arsenal's European games because he couldn't travel.
He used to travel.
He hated planes. Weird, like that was it or something.
If they were playing in Munich,
go to plane.
that's right though. Yeah, if they were playing in Munich on like a Wednesday, he'd miss training on Tuesday and drive himself over through the Channel Tunnel. Yeah, absolutely terrified of flying. I believe to this day, terrified of it.
That is weird. Yeah.
Imagine, could you? It'd be hard to think that. Although I know, like modern day footballers are very soft, and like, but would a Thomas Tuchel put up with that in the modern world? I don't know if he would. Like, I don't know if anyone would put up with that shit.
No.
Like,
no, definitely not. There's fucking, I don't know, drug him up to the 9s or something, drag him on the plane. I don't know, but I don't know. Like, so, right, we have at number 6. Luis Suarez.
Reasonable, isn't it?
I mean,
Yeah, I think
he had probably the best individual Premier League of all time. Like,
I think so.
Arguably.
I think so.
I
think he did. It was because it wasn't just the goals, it wasn't just the statistics. He just was everywhere and everything, and it was even the caliber of the goals, like the goal against Newcastle where he's a 70-yard ball and he controls it on his shoulder and flicks it round Steve Harper in one movement and just rolls it into an empty net.
Right.
That was a joke.
Yeah,
and like the goals against Norwich were a joke.
I was gonna say he ended Norwich's career.
He scored. He scored 13 goals. He scored 13 goals in 5 appearances against Norwich City. 13 in 5.
Outrageous. Like look. Look. I mean, you know, personally, do I think Suarez was better than Ruud van Nistelrooy? Like overall, no. But I think on prime versus prime, nah, man. Ruud van Nistelrooy was elite.
No,
I'm sorry. I'm not having that.
This guy's one of the greatest. This guy's one of the greatest strikers of his generation.
But Premier League, he was only in the Premier League for what? 2 years, 3 years.
3 years, 69 goals.
Nothing. I'm saying Premier League. I'm sorry. Like I'm not trying to. I'd say he is an amazing striker. I'm saying if we're talking about top 10 Premier League strikers, I have Ruud van Nistelrooy over him personally.
That's an interesting thought because it's the same with Ronaldo. Like Ronaldo in the Premier League was never.
Yeah, no, not that
Like,
good.
No, he was for his last
for one season. For one season, yeah. 1.5, 2.
Not 1 season.
2.
3 seasons.
Yeah, it was
07,
07,
08. 07, 08
was his elite one, yeah. And then 08,
But
09.
when you're discussing him, you always bring in the Real. You're like, you can't forget about it. It's the same with Suarez. Like you can't. It's hard.
But yeah, for this list, you have to do have to take it in isolation. Like it's just what Suarez did in the Premier League. So, all right, I can just about swallow. Maybe Ruud should be ahead of him. Yeah. But again,
by the way, he's
Ruud
not ahead of him.
Ruud was only around for 40 games longer.
Do you know what I mean? Like he's not ahead of him. But by the way,
I know he's not.
Like he's not. I'm just saying. I think he should be higher than that. But look,
I would accept it the way it is because Suarez produced some like world class moments, and if it wasn't for and I'll completely accept this, if it wasn't for other people around him slipping up, he would have been a Premier League winner.
I was gonna say he was a slip away from winning the.
He did everything he could on his end to be a Premier League winner, and
that was a borderline one-man team.
Yeah,
and Steven Gerrard played in that team. That's how good Suarez was.
Well, I think are you kind of forgetting about how good Sterling and Sturridge were at the same time?
Yeah, Sterling less so. But certainly,
he was only just starting out. Really.
Well, the two boys. It was like if Suarez doesn't pick you off, one of the other 2 boys will.
Yeah, they were great second fiddles to him, boy. He was by far. He was fucking unbelievable that year.
So, he was absolutely
even the
ridiculous.
season before. Now, bad man. He's a biter and he's a racer.
I'm gonna say then if you do all this Everest stuff and all that jazz, does it kind of muddle it down a bit? I suppose not, but
no, you just hate him. You hate him more.
We can't put that in the. We can't factor. But if we can't factor that in. But if then we're doing wingers next week and someone mentions Adam Johnson, well then you're gonna have to leave the podcast.
Or Ryan Giggs, I suppose. Yeah, but
for a lesser extent.
I think it's fair. It's fair. I'm not going to argue, but it's grand. Now, the next 5. So we're now entering the top 5.
Brew, before we do, will we do a Prison FC 11?
Yeah, the last series will be a Prison 11 because Robinho's gone now as well. Yeah, Robinho just got sentenced to 9 years today. So
did he?
Yeah, for rape.
Man. Did you see fucking Ronaldinho ended up in a Paraguayan prison because he had a fake passport?
Yeah,
for like 30 days.
And he was playing football in there.
Yeah, he was. Yeah,
he was lovely.
Didn't some Irish fella go out?
An Irish guy player got invited over.
Snapchat story of him, a friend of Ronaldinho's brother, and he ended up going and playing fucking football with him in Rio.
Yeah. So one thing I will say is. Actually, do you know what? Before we get to the top 5, Donnie, you asked it at the start. I think it's a good one. If you were to pick someone, like a favorite player who obviously never hit the heights, who would you add in?
Well, like my obscure, it's not even that obscure because he's a Golden Boot winner, but my guy would definitely be Kevin Phillips.
Oh, he was my guy.
28 goals, something like that.
He did it for years as well.
He tailed off. He had one season where he was just spectacular.
Yeah, I mean, two players that came to mind were Crespo and Michu.
Michu was one of mine too.
I've got a list of very obscure ones, right? But the one I'd actually give credit to, probably won't make like anywhere near the top of the list, but is forgotten as a very good striker, Les Ferdinand.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. So that
Record's
season,
insane.
99-2000, Kevin Phillips played 36 games and scored 30 goals. Come on.
Class.
Give it up for Big Kev. That's
here's my top 5 of my real Hall of Fame. All right, so we have Michu, we have Amerzaki.
Oh yeah, scored a great goal at Anfield for Wigan actually.
Did we have Francis Jeffers?
Useless bastard.
We have the mighty Alfonso Alves.
Oh, from Middlesbrough.
Yeah. And then I don't even know if this man played in the Premier League, but just for sheer obscurity and for unbelievable moments, we have Soccer AM Hall of Famer Lee Trundle.
Oh yeah, I thought he might have played in the Premier League for Swansea a few times.
Sorry who was the guy who played with Portsmouth and absolutely banged
Benjani.
Benjani.
And Benjani got a move. Benjani got a move to Moneybag City. He was one of their first. He's one of their early signings.
No, they weren't money bags by then, Donny. It was actually half a season before. It was in 2000.
They were
Are you
it
sure?
was their first money bag, wasn't it?
The only reason I remember that is because I just remember there was the Mank derby when we were remembering Munich in 2008, and United wore the classic kit.
Yeah.
Benjani scored for City to win, so he joined for money bags.
Do you remember? Speaking of like obscure players, do you remember Alano, the Brazilian guy, white Brazilian guy, attacking midfielder? Yeah, he was good. He was one of the early. When Robinho, who thought he was signing for United, ended up turning out for City.
That was so funny.
And Sven-Goran Eriksson came in, and they bought Alano.
You know who scored a lot of goals with and good for a dive in the boxes? Andy Johnson.
Oh yeah,
Andy Johnson for Palace.
Yeah,
he'd won great season.
Yeah, he'd win all his own penalties and then just smash them in.
Here, do you remember your man? Do you remember David Nugent, who played with Preston?
Yeah,
and got it. He has one England appearance, and he came off the bench with about 3 minutes left against Andorra, and a ball hit him in the fucking shin a yard out with an empty net, and so he has an England goal. He has one England appearance, one England goal from a grand total of 14 electrons out, and it was never heard from again.
Here, can I just say as well? I have to just name one. Sorry, with Sean, just one second. One player for me who I was never that elite in terms of strikers, but had the biggest shithouse celebration
Adebayor
was Adebayor when he scored and ran the entire pitch and just slid in front of the Arsenal fans. That has to be one of my favorite goals of all time.
Yeah, me too, actually.
One England striker who, now, I don't think he'd be like top 10 or top 15 or whatever, but kind of underrated, not getting enough love. Peter Crouch.
Yeah, very much so, actually. Yeah. I was gutted when we sold Peter Crouch. I actually was gutted because he gave us a brilliant option. He loved being at Liverpool. He didn't want to leave. He didn't mind the fact that he wasn't going to be the automatic starter every week. Like it was sort of comical when he first moved to Liverpool that he went 17 games without a goal, and just he was such a great lad. He was playing well. He just couldn't score. He'd laid on 4 or 5 assists. He was playing well. People weren't saying drop him. It was just like, please score. And then they played Wigan, and he took a shot from about 30 yards, and it was on target. But it's after hitting one of the defenders outside the box, looping up into an orbit outside Earth and dropping underneath the crossbar. And I think Mike Pollitt was the goalkeeper, and Mike Pollitt tried to palm it over the crossbar and palmed it in. And so Crouch goes wheeling off and the place goes fucking berserk. And it took like about 2 weeks for the dubious goals panel to actually award him the goal.
Yeah,
Remember that?
It was the longest wait for a first goal
and
ever.
I have to say, when him and Defoe linked up at Tottenham, was it? They were so good together.
They were very good together.
Right.
He was, and he scored an unbelievable. Remember his goal for Stoke against City?
Oh yeah,
that was an absolute peach.
What a hit!
Yeah.
Right, so we are on the top 5, and I have to say the gap now between these is very big, and even the gap between this person in 5th and 4th is massive. So this is where we have very much the like top end of the list. So at number 5 we have Didier Drogba.
Yeah,
I'm very happy with that.
He's shaking his head.
I don't have him that high up.
Whew.
I've gone with 5. I think 5's fair.
I think 5 or 6 is fair, personally.
I loved him. I thought he was just great. Like, he won a lot. He had a great celebration, and he was just a big game player.
That's it. He was the big game player. Like, whenever you needed him to deliver, he delivered. Like, and on his day, unplayable. Like, remember that
No, he
goal
was
against Liverpool?
unplayable. I remember vividly one game. I think it was just an assist, but he was going down the left-hand channel, and Hyypiä had come out. The fullback's gone, and it's Hyypiä against Drogba. And you know that move that Ronaldo sort of patented with, where you flick it with your instep behind you.
Yeah.
So the ball goes behind your front leg and you go that way. A really easy move to do, but really effective. He did that, and the ball went one way of Hyypiä, and he went the other.
Yeah.
And Sammy Hyypiä just heard whispered in his ear by some unknown entity, "You need to retire now." And he just kind of basically finished Sammy Hyypiä with that move.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think from Drogba's point of view, 254 appearances, 104 goals, 55 assists, 2 golden boots, 4 Premier League titles, and in 2009, 2010,
it's outrageous.
He played in 32 games and scored 29 goals. That's
that season. He was unbelievable.
Yeah, he was outrageous that season.
He was untouchable that season. Like, easily one of the best players in the world.
Yeah,
like,
I would agree with that.
So good.
Right, so we are just outside of the top 3 now with the fourth place. And from 4th to 1st now, it's quite tight in terms of the amount of points. So Suarez had 36 points. Drogba had 50 points. And at 4th place with 92 points is Wayne Rooney.
Yep, I have him 4th myself. What a striker, what a footballer, what a player. It's just a shame that he didn't have the traditional trajectory of a footballer in terms of peaking in their like late 20s. It's a shame that, and it's a byproduct probably because of the miles in the tank when you're 17 years of age and you're playing every game and you're first on the team sheet. But he was, it didn't fit for years. It didn't fit. Like, no disrespect to his appearance or anything, but his appearance and then his ability just didn't fit. The stuff that Wayne Rooney used to do, you'd see. Like, actually, Zidane's another example of it, where the appearance doesn't really fit the ability. But you would see, like, Henry doing that, or you would see, Samuel Eto'o, and I'd be like, yeah, that makes sense. You saw Wayne Rooney doing it, and you're like, Jesus, this guy, where did he get this fucking talent from? But
he was able to like fucking pick the game up by the scruff of its neck and like absolutely single-handedly win you something just by sheer skill, effort, and just fucking determination. He was an unbelievable finisher. And to be honest, I think him and the predicted number 3 will be neck and neck.
I agree with that.
Based on different honors. Rooney's the greatest, or the highest English goal scorer of all time, Champions League winner. Like,
yeah, I wouldn't. I think 4 is fair with Rooney, because I think.
But that's what I mean, neck and neck. I think.
Yeah.
I put either one can go either way. I think Rooney was the better player.
I think when you're talking about greatness, and I suppose this is relevant for two of the top three that we're going to get to in a minute, you do have to factor in the decline. Like, as in the presence of a decline does, I don't care what anyone says, it does kind of stuff up legacies to a certain degree. Yeah, so Wayne Rooney's decline was really pronounced, and there was like that 18-month period where he shouldn't have been in the team, and he was playing deeper, and he was playing almost in midfield, and it wasn't working, and he was getting a lot of shtick for it. Like, that's why I have him fourth. Like, if he'd have gone from his peak and gone off to Spain, he's probably higher than fourth. So the reason I put him fourth is he had a decline that maybe the others didn't so much.
Do you remember fair. The season? You know the way he never played like as the main man for a long while, and then he had one season, I think he was up top, and it was Valencia they just bought, and he scored like 12 headers, I think.
It was like 2010 or 2009, 2010.
Yeah. It was the only time he was like the main guy, wasn't just like tracking back and doing things.
Yeah. And he was 2009, 2010, Sean. Yeah.
And the only reason he didn't win the Premier League that year was because he was up against the Drogba we just talked about.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
he scored 26. He scored 26 that year
in 32 games. Yeah.
He did his ankle at the end, didn't he? They were playing Bayern Munich, I think.
Yes.
Did his ankle, and
that's right.
Oh, he was unreal though. It was the only season he was just fully allowed to just be the main dude.
Yeah, I mean, look, like in terms of Wayne Rooney, 491 appearances, 208 goals, 103 assists, one player of the season, one goal of the month, 5 Premier Leagues, 5 player of the months.
100 over 100 assists is very impressive, actually.
It is. I mean,
and that goal against Newcastle where he just fucking smashed it. You know, like
he's straight from the corner.
He's absolutely raging at the ref.
It's one of the best clips ever. So remember they have player cam.
He's like, fuck everyone.
Remember on the red button.
And even when he's running up to the ball, he's still half like still like shitting at the fucking ref, kind of like half looking at the ball, half looking at the ref.
Another one of my favorite Rooney goals, actually team goal, but when him and Ronaldo broke on Bolton.
Arsenal? Yeah.
No, they did something similar against Arsenal, but that was, but the one against Bolton was literally just Rooney and Ronaldo, and only like a couple of seconds later, balls in the back of the net. Like between the two of them, it was frightening pace, like destroyed them.
He scored one of and it was for Everton when he came back. He scored one of the best halfway goals you've ever seen as well. Do you remember when it comes to him and he hits it the first time?
He did one for United as well against West
Ham. Against West Ham. And that was pretty late in his career too.
It was. Yeah. And I mean, I think, and even I know we were talking about Robin van Persie earlier. The goal that Rooney chipped it over the top for Van Persie, and Van Persie hit it straight up, like, got it over his shoulder, dropped down, hit it. Yeah, look, I mean, I don't think there's any arguments. I think Rooney and the person I'm going to say next, I don't see any arguments.
The only argument you can make with Rooney is that he should be higher. Now, that's not the argument I'm making, but as in, there's no one we've said so far that I would argue should be ahead of Rooney. Put it that way.
I agree. Yeah, 100%. Right.
4 is as low as he possibly could be.
Yeah, I agree. So Rooney was 92 points. At 100 points, we have Sergio Aguero.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought Aguero was going to be higher.
No, I mean, I think we all pretty much know who the top 2 are going to be.
Yeah.
I don't think Aguero tops either of those 2. Look, and I will say, I do think Aguero is 100% one of the best strikers you've ever seen. Like, his goal scoring record was dumb for so many years. I'll get up there in front of me, but
he did more than once. Aguero had this ability, no matter how many goals he'd score in a game, he still would score more. He just would keep scoring and score. I remember he scored 5 against Newcastle one day, and I have captain of my fantasy football. I think it was like 70 points just by himself. Some silly like that, or maybe 60.
I remember if you didn't have Aguero and Ronaldo in your team in 07, 08-ish territory,
forget about
fucked.
It's like not having Salah now.
Yeah. But look, like
with
just
Aguero,
yeah.
do you think with Aguero, if he didn't get injured so much, he's probably number one, really?
I think so.
No,
Like,
Yeah.
I think he's
I
very
don't.
close. I think he's very
No,
close.
I don't. No, I don't.
If he wasn't as injured, Donny, he would have scored more goals.
Yeah, but he's still not taking top spot. There can only be one guy who takes top spot, and he takes it by a distance in my mind. We don't even need to mention his name. We're gonna get there. But no, like Aguero was phenomenal player, phenomenal finisher. Do you know, I did actually put him ahead of Shearer in my list, but I don't know why I did that. I actually think 3 is fair.
I think 3 is fair. Yeah.
184 and 275. How many did he win? 5? Or how many Premier League titles did he win? 5.
5 Premier League titles, 1 Golden Boot. But I have to say, right, looking at he played in the Prem from 2011 to 2022, right? So the end of this year, I guess he left, or say last year. Like, if you look at his record, though, right, 23 goals, 12 goals, 17, 26, 24, 20, 21, 21. Like, that's insane to be hitting that many goals.
What also is very relevant there is
how good
the 23 was in 34. Or 12, his second season was a bit of a slow burn, right? But when he scored 17 goals in the 2013-2014 season, it was off 23 games.
Yeah.
It's 26 off 33, 24 off 30, 20 off 31, 21 off 25. So yeah, he missed a lot of football. He really did.
But when he played, he scored.
Yeah.
I mean, look,
he would just score. He would just you just need 10 minutes.
Oh, he's
he was the best I've ever seen at that short back lift, just
yeah.
And it was ridiculous.
And look,
and nuclear power in his boots.
As sickening as it is to say, he probably has one of the most famous goals in the Premier League.
Yeah, he does. So, he absolutely does.
Yeah.
That moment definitely adds to the legacy as well.
100%. Right. So we are going to do the top 2. Now, the top 2 are separated by 5 points, and they're ahead of Aguero by 5 points. So at number 2, we have Alan Shearer.
No complaints.
No.
I mean,
unbelievable.
Highest goal scorer of all time.
His goal scoring for Blackburn was just ludicrous. Comes on the scene in 1992 with 21 appearances in his first season, scores 16 straight out the gate. No flirting, just straight out the gate. Amazing. The next season, can you back it up? Yeah, 31 goals and 40. Then 34 goals and 42. Then 31 goals and 35. Then 25 goals and 31. Just an absolute machine.
Yeah. Insane.
World record. He was the most costliest player in the world then. Newcastle played the world record fee for him. And then even his scoring record for Newcastle was dumb.
Yeah, still they were mid-table less when top 6 maybe, but still scored.
Yeah, I mean, look, at the end of the day, 441 appearances, 260 goals, 64 assists, 3 golden boots, 1 player of the season, 1 Premier League, 4 player of the month. I mean,
what would he have done if he went to a top team? My God.
Imagine if he went to fucking United. In that era of 97, 98. Imagine if he joined that United treble winning team. Fucking hell, he would have been. Now, saying that maybe he mightn't have scored as many goals because he didn't need to because the team contributed, but no, I think he would have been outrageous.
He's kind of the player that demands to score goals. He would just score. He'd do nothing else.
Yeah.
See, I think the reason why you put him ahead of Aguero as well is in terms of longevity. So, his first full season in the Premier League, he scored 31 goals. That's in 1994. If you then accelerate 10 years, for Newcastle, 10 years later, he scored 22. And every year there is kind of punctuated with good numbers. Now, 2001, he was injured a lot. He only scored 5. But when he played, for 12 years, 10, 11 years, every year he was scoring 20 goals.
And boy, did he bang a penalty as well. Fucking hell.
Yeah.
Smashed it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, a ridiculous amount. And, look.
Do you remember that goal he scored against Was it a goal he scored against Leicester? This pile driver from outside the box.
Oh, he scored
I
so
think
many of
Everton.
them though.
Everton.
So
It was
many.
Everton. Yeah, it was blue. Yeah, it was Everton. And it was like it broke land speed records. The thing went in the net so fast.
Thunder Bastard, I think they call them.
Yeah, that was the original, wasn't it?
It was that or Reese's free kick for me are the two that the ball went at
boys.
some.
Does anyone remember Stephen Reed's
name?
Yeah, but in terms of speed, does anyone remember Stephen Reed's for Wigan?
Oh yeah.
Stephen Reed scored this thing for Wigan that nearly broke the net. Genuinely nearly broke the net. It was the fastest I've ever seen a football move in my life. Yeah, I think they clipped it at about 95 mile an hour or something.
Jesus.
Yeah. Oh, it's some hit.
Then of course at number 1, I don't think there's any arguments here. Thierry Henry,
cheating bastard,
by a mile.
I mean,
not even close.
Yeah,
sorry.
I mean,
too soon.
Like, look, I mean,
no, not too soon. He is a cheating bastard, but
I mean, look,
the types of goals, the swagger, the grace, the statistics, the volume, the what he won. Yeah,
boom.
Yeah, I mean,
put it this way: if a player, and eventually a player will come along in the Premier League, especially in this era of dominance, whereby the Premier League has all the money, so the best players come there. You get some kid who has got just talent coming out of his ears at 19. Maybe it turns out to be Erling Haaland who comes along and rewrites the history books. Yep. But Jesus Christ, you've got some job to take Henry out of that top spot.
I mean, I think he was the first player that had everything. He had that kind of perfect like physique, speed, power, skill. I mean, look, like he had 258 games, 175 goals, 74 assists, 4 golden boots, which I want to point out is the most of all time from anyone in the Prem. Nice. No one's won it 4 times except for him.
Salah will.
Salah probably will, yeah. 2 player of
Salah got 3.
2 Premier League champions.
Salah's got 2.5.
Salah's gotten 2,
shared one.
Yeah. So I mean, and like
1.5.
Look, I mean, it is what it is, but I think whichever way you put, if you want to go Shearer is better non-read because of just the stats, whatever. But I mean, I think if you were to pick a player, if I was to pick a player to put up front in his prime, I'm picking Henry 100% of the time.
Absolutely, yeah.
You know the way some people, he just moved differently. Like like there's something
he
about
glided
like,
through people. It was crazy.
He was like, when you go, when you go to the airport and you're late for your flight and you run to the gate and you use those little travelators. That's what Henry was. It was just, it was long and languid, but it was like, hold on, how fast is he?
And just the variety of goals he scored. Like he could do outside the box, lovely little curlers, dribbling runs, headers, flicks, like outrageous stuff. Audacious stuff, but like
something that probably shouldn't be relevant, but I think actually is the joy at which he played the game. He wasn't. You're not gonna. He wasn't gonna be. I'm sure, like trawl through the archives, you'll find it, but he wasn't someone who was whinging. He wouldn't like be known as a guy who's diving or cheating, and he would always be kind of like. I remember vividly. It's a tiny part of his career, the minute part of his career, but he played a pass for Arsenal once. He played an easy pass out the wing, and he pretended to shoot.
I remember that.
With his right foot. So his standing foot was his left foot, and he made his standing foot hit the ball and pass, and then did an air shot just for the crack.
Yeah.
And no one had ever seen it before. People were like, "What the fuck was that?" Like an alley-oop or something. The joy that he gave, like, not an Arsenal fan, no affiliation to Arsenal, but you'd always tune in to watch Henry.
Yeah, 100%. And look, at the end of the day, was part of the greatest Premier League team of all time. Like, simple as, really. I mean,
I don't think it's simple as. I don't think it's simple as at all. No, the greatest Premier League team of all time is definitely one of the City teams. Don't give me that unbeaten nonsense. They drew like 11 games. Just fuck off.
Only team to ever.
But they drew a whole bunch of games. They drew like 11 games. Do you know what I mean? That's bus parking shite.
I don't know. I think that's a fair list. I think there's no real arguments there. I mean, I know there was a few down the bottom before we got to the top list, the top 10, but I don't think there's been much argument, especially from maybe 6 onwards. I don't think there's been any arguments really. So yeah. Just to say big thanks everyone for coming on. We will do wingers next week. So we can have the old chat about Salah versus Ronaldo versus Giggs, etc., etc., etc. So which should be fun. Just want to say big thanks again, lads, for coming on. Appreciate it.
No worries, bro. Good times. Good to chat to you, boys.
Good chatting to you, lads.
Go on, talk to you soon.